Hello everyone and welcome back to Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. So today we're going to be reviewing the latest release from Blue Run Spirits. This is their High Rye Bourbon. Now this is actually the first Blue Run Spirits whiskey that Jim Rutledge is completely overseeing. Prior to this, he had been the liquid advisor, but is now completely overseeing the High Rye Bourbon. Now this was distilled at Castle and Key. The mash bill on this one is 65% yellow corn, 30% rye, and 5% malted barley. Comes in at 111 proof. Now this, again, Blue Run Spirits is something that I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed all their past expressions. But this one was actually, again, it was distilled by Jim Rutledge. So it's probably be completely different in profile. But really looking forward to getting into this one, guys. So without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and get into the color on this one really quick. It is a little bit light in color. Now, this is thought to be anywhere between 4 to 4.5 years old, so still a pretty young expression from Blue Run. But yeah, very like a golden wheat color. Pretty, fairly light. It actually has some really nice oils to it, though. Being 111 proof, it's probably going to give you that. Yeah, really nice, like I said, light golden, like a wheatish color. Let's go ahead and get into the nose. Yeah, so this is completely different from any of the past Blue Runs that I've nosed before. Very, very off profile. So further into the glass, I pick up like this nice honeycomb. And there's this like green apple note that's just really, really nice. A little bit of this like toasted, like a toasted char a little bit further into the glass as well. Some, like I said, that honeycomb, the green apple, a little bit of a toasted char to it. And a little bit of a floral note to it. I'm not a huge fan of floral on the nose. It's very, very, again, it's very faint though. It's not anything. It's not like a bouquet of flowers or anything like that, but yeah, that really nice honeycomb, like a sweet honeycomb, and that green apple note is just wonderful. A little bit of like caramel in there, not too much caramel and vanilla on the nose. Like undertones. All right, guys, let's get into the palate. Cheers. So definitely, on the palate for me, you can definitely feel and taste that high rye from that mash bill. With it being a 30% rye in this mash bill, not only do you get that spiciness, but you get a little bit of that rye graininess on the middle of the palate there. It's actually, it coats the mouth very well. It's like dense. Again, it's, coats my tongue really well, all around my mouth. So, again, you get a little bit of that rye, like graininess on the middle of the palate. There's like a toasted, like a caramel sweetness kind of on the front. It's pretty interesting first sip, guys. Let's get into the second one. Yeah, so now that sip was like a lot of like stone fruit. I'm not picking up any of that floral like I did on the nose. Definitely, I think the high rye in this one is really the key contributor to not only the nose, but the palate as well. Lot of fruitiness, like I said, stone fruits on this one. I was picking up that green apple on the nose. Don't really get the green apple on the palate, but I do pick up some stone fruits all around the palate. Again, the front of the palate was like that toasted, like a toasted caramel. Middle of the palate, you do pick up a little bit of that rye grain, very, very faint. Again, no floral in there. The finish is actually, it's like a short to medium finish. Doesn't linger on very long. But surprisingly, for being, 4 to 4.5 years old, there's definitely a lot of really nice flavors that are in here. Again, I think a lot of the influence from this one is from the rye, for sure. Again, 30% rye, is pretty high. Let's get into the last sip, guys. Cheers. Yeah, so again, it does come off very dense, but refreshing at the same time. Again, toasted caramel sweetness on the front, a little bit of that rye grain that you pick up there on the middle of the palate. Not anything that's like offsetting. Stone fruits though are like all over the place. That toasted caramel and the stone fruits kind of playing off one another. Don't really pick up a lot of oakiness. Some of that char, that toasted note maybe on the front of the palate there with that caramel, but nothing that flows through into the finish. Not picking up any honey like I did on the nose, but again, it's I think for a 4 to 4.5 year high rye bourbon, I think there's a lot of good qualities to it. I think that the flavors that you do pick up are definitely bold. Like I said, they're it's kind of dense around the palate. I think by giving this a couple more years, 6 to 7 years, this is going to be a fantastic high rye bourbon. Again, I'm not picking up a lot of youthful notes on it. The only thing that I really picked up on the palate was a little bit of that rye grain, just right across the middle of the palate. Again, with it being a high, a high rye at 30%, that is bound to happen with it being as young as it is. But honestly, this is actually very tasty high rye bourbon here from Blue Run Spirits. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big thank you over to Mike Montgomery and team over at Blue Run Spirits for supplying me with the sample to review on the channel. Again, guys, overall thoughts, definitely a very, very tasty high rye bourbon. Very, very little grainy notes on the middle of the palate. I thought it drinks very easy. It is, the flavors that you do get are very dense. They are very bold. Beautiful nose. Given a couple more years on this thing, this is going to be a hitter for sure. So if you guys like this review, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty.